Hey guys, I'm going to share with you my top 5 drugstore pressed powders, and this one is actually a collab with a whole bunch of ladies on YouTube. I think there are 9 or 10 of us, and we're doing all of our drugstore favorites. So I will link everyone's video below, but you can see top mascara, top foundation, top primer, top eyeshadow, top lipsticks, lip gloss, kind of everything imaginable. We have the top 5. So I will jump right in and get started with my top 5. Now I have two kind of types of pressed powder that I have favorites for. Some of them are ones that I keep in my bag on the go and for touch-ups, and then other ones are ones that I keep at home, and that's what I put on first thing in the morning. So I will list them from kind of my top 5, the one that I like the least, all the way to my favorite one. And obviously these are all of my top 5, so I like them all, but yeah, there's some I like a little bit more than others. So I'll start with CoverGirl. So this one is the CoverGirl Clean Pressed Powder, and this is for normal skin. It also comes in sensitive skin, which is basically fragrance free, and then also oily skin. So the packaging looks like this, and then it opens like that, and it does come with a little puff that can just nicely clip in there, but this is one that I use at home, so yeah, I barely use the puff. So with this one, it retails for about $6 all the way up to $12 in Canada. So it has a light coverage, but it just still goes on really smooth. Now I did try the oil-free one to begin with, but I find that it works really well because I do have oily skin, except on my cheeks where I have more dry skin. It did not work at all. It just completely separated and I got flaky there, and usually pressed powders do not do that to me. So that one was a no-go. I think the oily one is only if you have really, really oily skin everywhere. And I have pretty much oily skin everywhere except for my cheeks, and yeah, it just did not work. So then I switched to the normal skin one, and it does work fairly well. With this one now, I find that in my extremely oily spots like my chin and my forehead, it doesn't last as long. After about 4 to 6 hours, I can start to see some of that shine back on here. But the reason I have this as my 5th favorite is because it has a really strong scent. Now personally, I don't mind the scent. When I first used it, about the first week, I was like, oh my god, this is overpowering. This is ridiculous. Why would they put that scent in a powder? But then I actually grew to like it. It does have kind of a perfumey, fresh scent, but yeah, after a while, I actually like it quite a bit. I'll put it on, and I find that the scent does last for about 10 minutes on my skin, and even now just holding it, I can smell that. The sensitive skin one, that one doesn't have a scent. It's fragrance free. So I don't know, it just was kind of nice. And after about 10 minutes, it goes away. But it was funny, I mean, I'm always in a different room when I put makeup on, and my boyfriend's either still in bed or he's off to work already. But when we went on our boating weekend, he was like cooking breakfast, and I was applying my makeup basically right beside him. And he's like, oh, you took perfume along? And I was like, what? And he's like, oh, you smell good. And I was like, oh, that's my powder. So he didn't seem to mind it, but I know a lot of people absolutely hate the smell. So if you are like sensitive to scents, and like this would not be for you. Some people can even smell it like, I don't know, like an hour later. I personally cannot, but yeah, definitely if you don't like scents, stay away from this normal skin one. But overall, I like it. I like the scent. So the next one is this Marcel pressed powder, and this one I have it in translucent medium. It's kind of weird. They have their translucent shades, but then they have light, medium, and dark translucent. Now, I like this because it doesn't fill in any it doesn't settle in any lines, and it is just really lightweight and kind of a velvety finish. But I have this as 4th because for a drugstore product, it's actually quite pricey. Now, it is a Canadian brand, Marcel, so that's why many of you may not have heard about it. But at Shoppers Drug Mart, it retails for about $14. I was lucky to find this on clearance for $7, and then I had a $3 off coupon. So $4 was totally affordable for me to try it. Now, this is one, because it contains a puff and a mirror, I keep this one in my work bag. So I think with this one, it's better as just like a setting powder if you're already happy with your makeup. Now, I get that I got this in one of the translucent shades, so I'm not going to get a whole lot of coverage, but I find that it actually doesn't last that long for oil control. I'd say after about 4 hours, if I would put this on first thing in the morning, that's when I can start to notice that I'm shiny. Specifically, you know, in my T-zone, but you know, even in the cheeks, I'm getting that already. So it only lasts for about 4 hours for my very oily skin, but it's perfect for on the go if, I don't know, it was hot, I was sweating, or just if I want to control my shine, I can quickly put it on and it goes on really smooth, so it doesn't look caked on even if I just put something on a couple hours ago. So you can keep applying it and it still goes on really nice. And I mean, this is a kind of a flimsy puff, but when I go out, I don't take that much makeup with me, especially not in my work bag. This is the only thing that I take or put in my work bag. So it's easy for just quickly blotting up any shine. So that's why I like this one for my on the go when I'm at work. So then the next one is my Rimmel Stay Matte. I know this one is highly talked about. So many people love it. And as you can see, I've used a lot of it. Yeah, there's still some around the outside. I have the shade 4 Sandstorm. Now this one, it's a little bit dark for my winter skin, but definitely when I go more in the summer, I will be tan again, or actually when I come back from my cruise, and well, I'm leaving in less than 3 weeks. So then I'll probably use this one again, but I've kept onto it, and I like this because it's fairly inexpensive. It's only about $3 to $6, and if you get one of these colored ones, obviously not the translucent one, but it is very pigmented, and I really like that. And that's how I discovered in the winter when I'm not as tan, I put it on, and then I like went out of the house and I was like, whoa, my face is like tan and orange, but my neck is not. So I'm like, this has to go for in the summer. It goes really nicely on. It almost gives you like a flawless finish. It's so smooth, but I think it's almost better just as like a setting powder if you're not that oily. I found that it only kind of controlled my shine for about 3 to 5 hours. And then it's also not one that I would take on the go because it doesn't come with a puff, although there is enough space in here that you could put your puff in there if you wanted. But it doesn't have a mirror. And with the packaging, I mean, I don't really like it. You can see it's already cracked right here. And then, I mean, this just, it barely stays on. So if you're traveling or anything, if it's in your purse, it just, yeah, the packaging gets damaged pretty easily. And I just push down and you can kind of see, yeah. So I don't want to break this anymore. Now they say it should give 5 hours of natural shine control. Again, I only kind of noticed 3 to 5. But it gives you a very good coverage at the beginning and a really flawless face. It just doesn't last that long for me. So now I'm getting into my 2 ultimate favorites. So the next one is the NYX Stay Matte Not Flat Powder Foundation. Now this is listed as a powder foundation or sold as a powder foundation, but honestly, as far as foundation cover, it gives like light coverage. So with me and my problematic skin, this would not cover anything. I mean, even now I have a zit here and I get a lot of zits kind of on my neck and on my chin. So this, yeah, would hardly cover anything. But for a powder, I think that it has about medium coverage, and more so if you apply it with the little sponge that they give you. Now, I have washed the sponge. I don't know, it's pretty tricky to do, and then after a little bit it just gets all saturated again. But you can see I have used a lot of this, and this is my go-to powder for putting in my purse. I keep this one in my purse all the time, and if I am at my other job at work, at the vet, not teaching, and then if I'm gonna go straight from work to somewhere, then I will just use this to touch up. And I like this because if I want to touch up my face, but I don't want to whip out, you know, concealer and like touching up foundation and everything, this just goes on really creamy and smooth, and it gives good coverage for a powder. And I mean, I guess because it's kind of powder foundation, so I find that it goes on nice and creamy if you use the sponge. Not so much with the brush, but, or like a brush if I use it at home. But yeah, it kind of has a really nice, look how pigmented that is. It doesn't offer shine control for that long. I'd say about 4 to 5 hours. So that's why it's not my kind of go-to one in the morning. But yeah, it will just completely cover up so much stuff if you just want to use this. Any redness on my face and shine, it just completely takes that away. And that's why, yeah, I love having this in my bag. It is about $10 when you buy it. And I like the packaging. I like that, I mean, it's not gonna break. I've probably drop this a whole bunch of times. But the only thing that's tricky is sometimes, because you have this all here and then you have to lift this up to get the sponge, on occasion it's just this got pushed down or the sponge kind of got in the way like this, and I forced it down, and then I had the hardest time to try to lift this up. So it is just a little bit, so I mean, I have fingernails so I can get it, but on occasion it's caused me a little bit of grief because I couldn't like take that bottom compartment up. But overall I really like this, and they do have a little air vents on the bottom, so you're not going to be collecting that much bacteria in that sponge there, at least kind of vents it out. And I know this is getting to be a very long video, but I wanted to do little reviews on all of these, not just show it and be like, this is my favorites, peace out. So my ultimate favorite drugstore pressed powder is the Essence All About Matte. And so this one is a completely translucent. I mean, it looks very white, but it doesn't, like, even though it goes here, it doesn't make your skin white at all. Like, you can see that, like, you can't see that it's white. And this one is very inexpensive. It is in Canada only $4. I think it's $3.99. And with this one, it takes away the shine on my skin or on my face for the longest. This can will last about a 6 to 8 hour day. So usually this is what I do as my last step before after I put all of my makeup on, and then I will spray with the Urban Decay Oil Control Setting Spray, and then I'll spray at the beginning and then at the end again. And then right when after I got dressed, right before I'm about to leave or right before I have breakfast, I will quickly just powder this a little bit all over, and then I'm good to go. And yeah, this lasts for a really long time. And I love that it's so inexpensive. Obviously this is not one you take on the go if you just want to have this, because it doesn't come with a puff and you'd have to take a brush along, which I know a lot of you guys do. You have a little like makeup pouch in your purse. I don't take any brushes along, like makeup brushes along for touch-ups or anything. I basically just like having a compact. But you know, this is what I use at home and it lasts all day, so I don't need to retouch anything, you know, after a certain amount of time. But it goes on really smooth. It doesn't cake up at all, and it's lightweight. You hardly even notice that it's there, and it's just an excellent setting powder and taking away all that shine, and it's very long lasting. So those are my top 5. If you guys have a favorite pressed powder that you like, or even just a loose powder, let me know if it's a drugstore one. I'm interested in trying the Coty Airspun. It's a loose powder because I've heard really great things about it. I could not find it in Canada, but I know in the States they have it readily available at many stores, and I'm going there in about 2 weeks when we go on our cruise. We drive down to Seattle first and do an afternoon of shopping. So I'm gonna see if I can pick that one up just to try it, because yeah, I've heard it gives you like a flawless finish. So if you love any of these ones or hate any of these ones that I showed, please let me know. And if you have a favorite pressed powder or loose powder then that is a drugstore brand, then let me know as well, because yeah, I'm kind of always looking for good ones, especially if you have oily skin like me. I hope you guys liked this video and it was helpful, and please check out all of the other ladies in this collab to see their top drugstore favorites of all the different kinds of makeup. I have a feeling after watching all of these videos, I'm going to have a long shopping list of new items that I have to try, but that's all right. Alright, so that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.